Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. As promised, this is the second video this week. We're going to look at two things and then open back into our course content and talk a little bit about what I expect in discussion posts and assignments. So I'm going to jump into the syllabus. I'm sure you've had time to review this. It's just the basic syllabus in regards to how it's formatted. Of course, there's some important information that are different about this course. This is, of course, an online class, and I want you to take a look at something that's really important. PIMA does have an online library, and we're going to talk and look at that in the near future. We also use Google Scholar in this class, which is an easy search tool for research articles, which will be needed, of course, for our APA paper, which we'll show here at the bottom when we take a look at the grade section. But this is just standard syllabus information. Of course, the course requirements, when you're in attendance, have people reach out and ask this question. You're in attendance when you do your work on time. So if you submit your work on time from the perspective of discussion boards and assignments, that means you're in attendance. So that's when I mark you present. That's how we judge attendance. So when we look at, of course, how things are examined from the perspective of grades, your APA paper and presentation is going to be worth 25% of your grade. It's a large part. It's the main way we focus on written communication in this class. We'll talk more about that in the future, but that's a big part of the class. So make sure when I ask you, make sure to work on it, your drafts due, all that kind of stuff, you keep up with it. You do have homework as well. We have 10 sets of homework, which are due in various areas of the course, and that's worth 20% of your grades. PPS, in regards to presentation and being present in class, that means your discussion posts are due on time. You're getting your work done on time, all that kind of good stuff. You reply, you're active in the class from an online perspective. That's when you get credit for PPS, which is 15% of your grade. And then discussion boards, we've already talked about that, 10% of your grade. And then, of course, your final exam. This is the largest part of your grade, it's 30%, and it's all encompassing. We don't have a midterm in this class, just a final exam. So you already know, the grading scheme in regards to what that looks like, and then you've probably already read over the course objectives. But the main goal of this course is to make sure you can communicate effectively, both written, verbally, and of course nonverbal communication as well. So if you have any questions related to the course syllabus, let me know. The course schedule, I think, is also something you should take a look at on a weekly basis. We're in week 1 right now, so you got some great information in here. It does have some extra videos, which sometimes are not in the course content you could take a look at. It's just kind of additional things that might be interesting to you from the perspective of what we're talking about in the class. Your main videos that I want you to review are going to be in the course content, so don't really bother to watch these if you're overwhelmed for that week. It's just extra additional things if you want to learn a little bit more about what we're talking about in that week. But this shows week 1, of course, that's an extended week. We're looking at chapter 1, and we're going to look at and focus on the homework section. Your original post for your discussion board is going to be due on the 11th of this week, which is Wednesday, midway through the week. So that makes sure that you've read the material and you know what's going on in the chapter, so you can talk a little bit about it. And you're going to write at least 200 words in your regard to what you enjoyed about this week's module, or what you found challenging, or your thoughts in general. You have one response at least is due to another classmate by the 15th, and it can't be a 3-word response. It's got to be a few sentences. It has to be an interaction, and it needs to be thought of in a manner that you would consider, I guess you could say, scholarly, from the perspective of you read their post and you're interested in what they had to say. Maybe you have a thought back to them. There can be a variety of different things. And then, of course, homework's always going to be due on Sunday, just like your reply is. And we'll go and look at that right now. So this is the week that you're going to have, of course, due items in this class. So let me minimize that information right there. And we'll go into the course content section. Again, office hours are Thursdays, 8 to 10 a.m. If you need me, please reach out. I'm happy to send you a Zoom link, and we can meet one-on-one if you have questions. Also, more information, you've already seen this, but your research paper and rubric information are going to be listed here. But we're going to look at the discussion board grading rubric real quick. It's pretty basic from the perspective of what I expect you to do in each post. So your original post, you're going to get the majority of your points based on how that looks, and of course how detailed your response is. And I can really tell the students that have read the material versus those that haven't, because they really interact from the perspective of using course terms, and they look at a lot of great information that they found maybe in the textbook, and they're able to translate it over. I don't mind if you summarize what you found. That's fine too, but I also like to hear your thoughts as well. Other things we look at is participation. Of course, if you do your stuff on time, you're going to be meeting that guideline. The quality of response, so you're really giving your all. How from the perspective of how long the response was. So did you write a two-sentence post as a reply, or did you respond with a lengthy post? Those all play into that. And then your writing mechanics are going to be important from that perspective. Make sure you don't have any grammatical errors, and you're using, of course, correct English. And then timeline. If you do things on time, you're going to get full credit for that as well. It's kind of like participation. So that's how we look at discussion board grading. Back into week 1, I'm sure you've watched the lecture already. We try to keep them under 15 minutes, but there are some sections of this class where I have numerous lectures, because I can't, of course, talk about everything I need to in 15 minutes. So you might see that in the near future. But I always encompass my lecture with a great TED Talk, and I'm sure you've already looked at those because we talked about them in our last video. Make sure you're able to access the textbook online. There was an error in the homework, so I want to talk about homework for a minute. It is flat world based, like we've already mentioned, but there was an error earlier, so if you tried to access it early last week, it wouldn't work, but it's all working now. I had to copy things over. There was an error on my side, so that should be good to go. But when you open homework, it's going to take you to the flat world section of the course, and it's going to launch, and it's going to show you, of course, the name of the chapter after it authenticates you, and then it's going to show you your attempts, and it tells you you're just going to take the highest score. So homework assignments have 2 available attempts. So if you go through your homework and you didn't do good, you get another shot at it. Because homework is not meant as a quiz per se, it's meant to help you study. 2 attempts at the homework. So when you begin, you have to go all the way through. You can't stop in the middle. You have to go all the way through, and if you didn't do well, take it again. You get another shot. I do this because I think it really helps students study a little bit better. Let's head back to the course content. So when I pop over here, you'll look at homework. Homework, of course, we've already talked about. It's going to be 20% of your grade. You get 10 of them throughout the course, so make sure you do those on time. They're graded automatically, which is really cool. I don't actually have to manually put the grade in unless you didn't do the homework, and then I have to go in and put a 0. Make sure you do the homework on time. Do Sunday, right? This upcoming Sunday, the 15th, by end of day. And Blackboard is on Mountain Time, so you need to make sure that you get your stuff in by Mountain Time. It's just the way it's formatted. It's going to be hard for you to get your stuff done on time if you're late, because it'll block you out. So if you have any questions related to that, or if you have an issue or a family emergency or something, please reach out to me so I can open it back up for you. Your discussion board, we've already talked about. Of course, the original post is due on Wednesday, and I have to edit that. That's incorrect, but it's due on Wednesday, and I'll do that right after this. I think I was supposed to do that last week and overlooked it, but that'll be due on 10/11. You have your original post due then. It's going to be at least 200 words in summary of this week's course material, and the reply is going to be due on the 15th as well. It's going to be 50 words or so, and it has to be substantive from the perspective of what we already talked about, not just a few words. So that's the majority of this week's material. Every week's going to look similar to this. We might have a little bit more elements, but the homework and the discussion boards are really the main focus of the course material from a week-to-week perspective. We'll talk more about the APA assignment in the future, but I would like for you to take a look at a few things. Of course, the research paper and rubric instructions, and then this all-important APA guidelines, 7th edition, PowerPoint, or it's on a PDF, but it's in PowerPoint format. So when you open that up, it's going to outline how we should be writing, and we'll talk more about that in the future. It's not something you should focus on from the perspective of your discussion boards, but it's something that's going to be important for our APA paper and presentation due later in the course. If you have any questions, need any help, I'm happy to talk to you, happy to email with you, or maybe even hop on Zoom if that's what you want. Reach out anytime. I'm here to help in any way I can. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great rest of the weekend, and hope you have a great week next week, jumping back into the due dates for week 1 as it was an extended week. Thanks so much.